Okay. Okay, today we're going to start Nun Gimel Amid Beis, and we're going to start at the words V'rami de Rab Meir ad Rab Meir. That's about 12 lines from the bottom. Yeah, we thank Hashem we're able to learn Torah every day. Because of our learning, we should have basic Mikdash. Okay, we're discussing Hezek Shein and Iker. That means damages that are not visible, because it's like the spiritual sort of damage, either because you made something impure or you mix something into something. And what we said was that, at least according to our Mishnah, there's a difference between Shagig and Mezid. After discussing that, then we got into something else, which we said, do we make a knas? The difference in Shagig and Mezid, meaning that there's a difference between if it's done on purpose or if it's done by mistake. And after that, then we went into, do we say that there's a decree that if you're exempt when you do it by mistake, then maybe someone will do it on purpose and claim that he did it by mistake. He did it unintentionally. So we had a Mishnah regarding someone who cooks on Shabbos, where Reb Meir did not differentiate between someone that, Reb Meir did not make a decree. He did differentiate between someone that does it on purpose and someone that does it unintentionally. Unintentionally, he said you're allowed to eat the food that was cooked. The person that does it on purpose, intentionally, he's not allowed to eat it. And Rabbi Yehuda had the opposite view. Rabbi Yehuda had it's always prohibited, which means that according to Rabbi Yehuda, we said that we don't differentiate between intentional and unintentional. We always make this decree that maybe he did it intentionally and he's claiming that he did it unintentionally. Yeah. Well, now the Gemara says, V'rami de Rab Meir ad Rab Meir. Oh, I didn't answer the question. The question was that we have a brisa that says where Rab Meir does not differentiate regarding someone contaminating truma, and we have a Mishnah in Shabbos where he says he does differentiate between if it's on purpose or not on purpose. So we answered that Reb Meir makes a difference only if it's a derabanan. Because deraisa people are careful; they're not going to do it intentionally and claim that they did it unintentionally. Okay, so now the Gemara says, "V'rami de Reb Meir ad Reb Meir b'deraisa." We can ask a question from Reb Meir onto Reb Meir, even regarding biblical laws. Where over there we said that usually you're not concerned that maybe someone's doing it intentionally and claiming he's doing it unintentionally, which means that we do differentiate. We're going to find the case where Reb Meir doesn't differentiate. He says that we do make the decree. The Tanya was started in a brisa. And they tell b'Shabbos, someone plants on Shabbos. Planting on Shabbos is going to come out to exactly like cooking on Shabbos. Plants a tree. B'Shegeg, if he did it unintentionally, so then Yekayim, you could let it still grow. But if it's b'mezid, if he did it on purpose, Yaka, you have to uproot it. That fits with Reb Meir's view regarding cooking on Shabbos as well. Same thing. If it was done unintentionally, you're allowed to eat it. If it was done intentionally, then you're not allowed to eat it. That's the Divrei Reb Meir. Reb Yehuda, I'm sorry, I skipped the line. B'Shviyas, but if it was on Shemitah where he plants, of course he's not allowed to plant in the Shemitah. So then, then you have to uproot it no matter what, whether it's intentional or unintentional, which means that even when I have a biblical law, according to Reb Meir, I make a decree that maybe someone's going to do it intentionally and claim that he's doing unintentionally and try to get away with it. And we have to make a decree on that. And it's called Kansinan shaygig atumezid. The word kansinan means we make a penalty. Shaygig, unintentional, due to the intentional. Because it could be that he's doing it intentionally, claiming that it's unintentional. So we have to make that decree. So we see that when it comes to Shemitah, he does make this decree. Yeah. So in other words, like this, originally we had a contradiction. Do we make a decree on someone that's doing something unintentional because maybe he's really intentional and claiming that he's unintentional? So Reb Meir there was a contradiction in this. When it came to contaminating someone's food and that type of thing, Reb Meir said that we do make that decree. It was prohibited. Reb Meir did not make any exception. When it came to Shabbos, we did not make that if someone cooks on Shabbos. We said it depends, intentional, unintentional. So for that, we answered up that, there's a difference between if it's a rabbinic law where people are lenient with anyway, so therefore we have to be stricter on them. And we make the decree on unintentional because maybe it's really intentional. When it came to a biblical law, people are strict anyway, we didn't have to make that decree. Now we're showing that even on a biblical law, we are making that decree because when it comes to Shemitah, we're making a decree and we're saying we don't care if it was intentional or unintentional, you're never allowed to keep that plant. Yeah. So it's something's wrong with our answer. That's what Rabbi Yehuda's view is Rabbi Yehuda Imer b'shvius b'shegig gekayim b'shvius. If it's Shemitah, there's a difference if it's intentional or unintentional. It's going to be a contradiction as well. If it's unintentional, you're allowed to leave it there. And b'mezid, if it's intentional, then you have to uproot it. And on Shabbos, that you on Shabbos, Shabbos fits with Rabbi Yehuda's view that we make a decree, intentional versus because of unintentional. Okay, I'm sorry, make a decree unintentional because of intentional. The Gemara says, okay, so what you just did here is you asking a question from Shemitah to cooking on Shabbos. You're saying by one of them you make a decree, one of them you don't. I don't understand why you're reaching so far to create a question. In this brisa itself, it gives you exactly the contrast. It has a case of Shabbos and it has a case of Shemitah. Gemara says, why are you asking on some other brisa onto this, some other Mishnah onto this brisa? The brisa itself has two cases where the ruling is different. If all you did was quote this brisa, you would have the same question. Why by Shabbos, according to Reb Meir, do we differentiate between intentional and unintentional? Why by Shemitah do we not differentiate? Allah Hasam Keduktani time rather over there. We have the explanation already. Amar Reb Meir says, why did I differentiate between Shabbos and Shemitah? Reason is because when it comes to Shemitah, there's long-term ramifications because people count other laws, they count it to the Shemitah cycle. First year from Shemitah, second year from Shemitah, third year. People are going to look at these trees for the next 3-4 years, and you're going to be saying, this is in its second year, this is in its third year. You're going to keep reminding everyone that you planted it in the Shemitah year. But no one is going to remember if it was planted on Shabbos or not, because there's nothing else that's relevant to that other than you planted it on Shabbos. But it's more permanent. But in the Shemitah, because I have to count when I'm going to the years of Arla, it's 3 years old. I have to count if I have to take net to revive the fruits for the 4th year, or the Meiser for the 3rd year. And there's so many different laws that are relevant to the Shemitah. You're always going to be reminding yourself that it was planted on Shemitah. Davar Acher, another interpretation why we're going to be stricter by Shemitah. It says, Nechshedu Yisrael ala Shviyas, v'alei nechshedu ala Shabbosos. Because the people are suspected for violating Shemitah laws, and they're not suspected for violating Shabbos laws. So we have to be strict to them. My Davar Acher, what are you telling me? Another reason. We already had the first reason. Gemara does this a lot. We say another second reason. Gemara says, what was wrong with the first one that you're bringing a second one? It says Hachikamer. Saying like this, that the first reason has one flaw. says v'chitei Shabbos nami zim demikla yom lamed b'Shabbos. Inato yom hu the salka leishata v'loy salka leishata. So Tashma davarach next Yisrael Shvius next al Shabbos is okay. Happen is like this: you have to get a tree planted 30 days before the 7th year, before the Shemitah year. You want to be able to consider it not part of the Shemitah. It has to be in the year before, grown for 1 month. Now, what this person did was he planted it 30 days before. The only problem is that 30 days before was on Shabbos. So yes, it wasn't grown on Shemitah, but he wanted to catch the last day. He didn't get a chance to do it on Friday, so he does it on Shabbos, which is still 30 days before. Now, because now he's always counting to Shemitah, because they always count every year to Shemitah. Is it the first year? Is it the second year? Is it the third year? But how is it already in its third year when it's only the second year? Oh, because you had it a month before. Oh, but a month before was Shabbos. So you're still remembering Shabbos for all of that time because he's claiming that he did it a month before. So for that, we have another explanation that why are we lenient about Shabbos and unintentional planting on Shabbos. In other words, like you forgot it was Shabbos. Why are we lenient about that? Because
it's unintentional. It's not like chorus or anything. You just give it
right. It's unintentional, right? But the idea over here is that you don't have to uproot the tree. Why are we lenient about that? You don't have to uproot the tree. You plant it on Shabbos when you would have to uproot it if you planted it on Shemitah. And now we need a new reason. It's not because people don't count the Shabbos, because this is one instance where people will remember that it was planted on Shabbos. Because that was the day that it was exactly 1 month before the Shemitah. So the reason is because Jewish people are suspected to do things intentionally on Shabbos. But they are suspected to do things intentionally on Shemitah. So they have to be more strict because maybe someone did it intentionally, claiming he did it unintentionally. So we're strict on everything.
Someone plants on Shabbos, you don't know if they planted on Shabbos or the day before Shabbos.
Right.
Sunday.
Right.
After. But if it's Shemitah, it's like, no.
Right. Right. Except for that one instance where someone plants on Shabbos, because that was everyone remembers that the 30th day was Shabbos. And then Rabbi Yehuda, the Gemara says, you ask these questions on Rameya, and Rabbi Yehuda, you don't have any questions. You have the same problem with Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda was strict about Shabbos, exactly the opposite, and he was lenient about Shemitah. He says, Shemitah, you don't have to uproot it if you planted it. He says, no, Basi Rabbi Yehuda Chamir L'Shviyas. In Rabbi Yehuda's territory, in his area, they were stricter about Shemitah than they were about Shabbos. There was one person that he says to his friend in a derogatory way, "Dyer by the arta, you're not a citizen, son of a non-citizen." Dyer is someone that's not a citizen. Amalei, I don't eat Shemitah fruits like you eat Shemitah fruits. In other words, he tells him. He's telling him off that look at how bad you are. You're eating Shemitah fruits, which means that in his territory that was like the worst thing. Eat Shemitah fruits. Sorry.
We still do Shemitah today
too. Yeah, which would mean like a non-native, Dyer means to dwell, a dweller. Right, he's using it as an insult. Says, look at you, you eat Shemitah fruits. You could have said that. That's a
Sometimes in the Torah it says.
I didn't see that it meant blemish lineage. I thought it meant that he just is so distant from the keeping the laws. And which verse?
second it's for, like it says the name of the person, then this is
Okay. I don't know if that's what it really means. Tashima, what do they say in that Yiddish song? They would say like, "Oh, your father's a horse thief and your sisters are this," and like, they use very extreme examples as the insult. So here it's like in this extreme example. Oh, you each meet the fruit. How bad, terrible. Okay. Tashima, come and listen. Achal truma tmeya, shalom fulim tayir. We're going to ask a question here on Reb Meir, because Reb Meir says that on rabbinic laws, where we need to be extra strict. We need to make a decree that if someone does something intentional, he may claim that he's doing it unintentional. And so we have to be strict, whether it's intentional or unintentional. We have to make everything forbidden. Or else the people are gonna cheat on this. But be extra strict on the rabbinic laws. Now, from this, we're going to see that it's not so clear. What happened is like this: someone eats truma tmeya. He eats truma that's not pure. Well, he wasn't supposed to eat it because he's not a kohen, but he has to pay for it. So mishalim chulin tyron. How does he pay for that? He has to pay from regular produce, and the regular produce needs to be pure. What happened if shilim chulin tmeim? Let's say he paid back the koyanim that he took the truma from. He paid back from chulin that was tamei. What's going to happen is when he pays it back, it's going to become truma. That's a little bit problematic. I mean, but it's no worse than what he took, right? He took truma that was tamei. He's supposed to pay back chulin that's pure, chulin, regular mundane food. Now he's paying back chulin that's tamei. Ma, what's it in? So Amar Sumchas Mishim Reb Meir. Sumchas, one of the sages, student of Reb Meir, he says the name of Reb Meir. It says it depends. B'shoigeg, if he pays back this impure chulin unintentionally, that it's impure, then tashlim, then it works. If it's b'mezid, if it's on purpose, ain't tashlim, then it doesn't work. We're already seeing now, the question is going to be quite a long question. We're already seeing now that Reb Meir differentiates between if it's intentional or unintentional. So that's going to be problematic for us because we're going to say all of this is all rabbinic. In rabbinic, we said that Reb Meir doesn't differentiate because he needs to be extra strict. It's always going to be good. And he has to pay again, which means, what does it mean it's good? Good means that it becomes truma. What he pays back becomes truma, but he still has to repay. We asked the question, we deliberated on this. According to Reb Meir, why did we say b'mezid? And why is it not a good repayment? He ate truma tmeya. Truma tmeya, really, you're not allowed to eat at all, even if he's tamei. Even if you're tamei, you can't eat truma tmeya. Truma tmeya, there's very little you can do with it. Burn it or whatever. And so that's what he ate, something of very little value. What does he pay back? Chulin tmeim. Chulin tmeim, you're allowed to eat. Now you're not going to eat it if you're tar, but you'll eat it if you're tummy. You're tummy anyway. You're allowed to eat. There's nothing prohibited about it. So why are we saying that it's not a good repayment? It has much more value than what he ate. V'amar Rava. Rava says, "V'amila k'di." Some say that this was said by k'di. K'di could mean the name of a sage, or it could also mean anonymously. We're missing a few words. We're going to add it in. Achal truma tmeya. He eats truma tmeya. Mishalim koldu. Then he's allowed to eat what? He's allowed to pay back chulin, even if it's tamei. Achal truma tahira. If he eats pure truma, then he has to pay back mishalim chulin tahirim. He has to pay back. We're changing the brisa that if it eats that it's really talking about truma tahira that he ate, pure truma. Then he has to pay back chulin tahirim. Shilim chulin tameim. Let's say he pays back with something that's much less than what he ate. Chulin that's tamei. So ma, what's it in? So sumchas mishim rameir b'sheigeg B'shaygig, they don't make a knas on him. They don't make a penalty on him, and we say that his payment is good. But b'mezid, if it was done intentionally, in tashlumin tashlumin, it's not a good payment. Now here we're seeing from here very clearly that they don't put a penalty on the unintentional just because they do it on an intentional, and we don't say that maybe he's doing it intentionally and claiming that it's unintentional. Okay, the Chum say that the payment is good, which means it becomes truma, but he has to pay again. And Ravacha, the son of Ravika, says that the machlekes Reb Meir and the Chachamim is if we say that we have to put a penalty on the unintentional because it may really be intentional and he's just lying about it. Reb Meir several like kansu. I'll read these parentheses. Reb Meir says we don't put the penalty on him, even though it's rabbinic law. And Shaygig, like kansu Shaygig to Mesid, we don't put the penalty on the unintentional because of the intentional. Chachamim kansu, the say we do put the penalty. This is a question on what we learned before, where Reb Meir says by rabbinic law, we have to put a penalty on everything, because or else it's so easy to lie about that. Yeah. It's like the students in yeshiva. They come late. Where you're in the bathroom. There's nothing you can do. Maybe yes, maybe no. I had a stomachache. Every day the same excuse. You can always get away with it, unless there's some sort of penalty. So okay, that's fine. Wait after class, but not the time. It's fine. No. So Reb Meir says, they'll always get away with it. Every time they come, they're going to say it was unintentional. They say, okay, unintentional. Okay, with we have the same rule, unintentional for intentional. That's what the thing says.
But I have a question.
So, and over here, we're not seeing that. I'm sorry.
Question about Rabbi Meir's point of view. Don't we also have a halakhic principle? I'm not going to get this quite right. Lo haTorah, lo hisasek v'shoim.
1 second, I can't hear so well because of this. I had to adjust the thing to say that you hear me. But tell me again.
With respect to Rabbi Meir's point of view, don't we also have a different principle? HaTorah lo hisasek v'shoim. I'm not saying it quite right, but that's the general phrase. These rules don't come for people who are Rishoyim. The Torah, the rules are written for people who want to be Torah observant. Never mind.
I can't hear so well.
That's okay.
Okay. Type it.
Naphtali said, "HaTorah lo nisasek b'Rishoyim."
No, I can't hear. I had. There's something funny with my phone. I have to turn off the sound to be able so that you hear me. I'm not sure why, but it's like a one-way. Okay. So the Gemara answers like this. Hachi hashta. 1 second. Hasam Gabriel Shlemika Mechavan. Anan Nekim Niknasei. Gemara gives a beautiful answer. The Gemara's answer is very, very, very direct. It says, look, by the other cases, the guy was doing something illegal, and he's claiming that he did it unintentional. Well, we don't know. Maybe he's doing something really bad. Maybe he's doing it intentionally. So we say, okay, for that, we're going to put a penalty. Over here, the guy's not doing something illegal. The guy's trying to pay back something that he did. He's trying to fix something that he did. And now you're telling me that we're going to be extra strict on him when he's coming forward and trying to pay back something. He says it was a mistake what he did. Oh, I see what you're saying. His question was, if the laws of the Torah are written with someone that's wicked in mind, like are we dealing with people that are l'chatchila, that this is like their whole intent? The Torah is like trying to don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Is that what's happening?
It talks about false prophets. I don't know if it has something specific in mind, but we see now.
I think the Torah talks about every case. That's the thing. The Torah has every possibility in there. If it's done like this, if it's done like that, if it's done like Okay, Tashima, come and listen. We're going to have, by the same answer that we just gave now, we're going to have in one way or another coming up for the next three cases. Dam shenitma, blood that became impure. We're talking about blood of a sacrifice. V'zarku, when they sprinkled it anyway. B'shegig, if it was sprinkled unintentionally, it was shechted correctly, but somehow it got impure along the way. The vessel, something happened, it became impure. It worked. It was done unintentionally. Amazed, if it was done intentionally. Then it doesn't work. Now, question on according to Reb Meir. Is this rabbinic law? Is this biblical law?
I'm surprised it's getting into
Oh. Yeah, well, intention is important to us. No, intention is important to us because the intention, if someone cooks on Shabbos, let's say, if it's done on purpose, then you can never eat it. Then you can't eat it. If it was done by mistake, then you're allowed to eat it. So it depends on intention. So here we're talking about the blood of a sacrifice was sprinkled and it was impure. Now, impure biblically gets covered over by the plate that the Kohen Gadol wears that atones for any impurity in the temple. So it's a free pass. The only thing is that what about should the sacrifice be allowed to be eaten when it's done on purpose? So we say if it's done on purpose, it's a problem. If it's done by mistake, it's not a problem. But in 1 second, all of that is rabbinic decree. Reb Meir is usually strict about rabbinic law. Maybe it was really done on purpose, and he's claiming that it's not that it was done unintentionally. The guy's coming to bring a sacrifice. He's trying to sprinkle the blood. You're going to tell you now we're going to be strict on him. It's not like he's cooking on Shabbos or planting things on that. He's doing he's coming to do something good. Okay, Tashima, come and listen. Meiser b'Shabbos. You're not supposed to take meiser on Shabbos. Someone does take meiser on Shabbos. It's a rabbinic decree. You're fixing the food. You're not supposed to fix a chair. You're not supposed to fix the food either. Well, good. So, let's say he does. So, b'shegig, if it was done unintentionally, yochal, you're allowed to eat the food. Amazing, if it was done intentionally, yochal, you're not allowed to eat the food. Same problem. I thought Reb Meir is strict about unintentional because maybe it was really intentional, and he's claiming that it was unintentional. The person's taking meiser. He's not going to be doing the mitzvah in a bad way. Anan leikum v'liknasei. We're gonna get up and say that he must be a wicked person, right? Tashema, come and listen. Amat b'kelim b'Shabbos. Someone that puts vessels in the mikvah on Shabbos, if they're impure, you're not allowed to do that either. You're fixing the vessel. So b'shegeg yishtamish b'hem. If it was done by mistake, let's say you forgot it was Shabbos, you forgot it was prohibited. So then you're allowed to use them. And b'meizid lo yishtamish b'hem. If it was done intentionally, then you're not allowed to use them. Gemara says same question, same answer. According to Reb Meir, we should make a decree. Maybe it was done intentionally, and he's claiming that it's unintentional. It says hachi ashta. 1 second. Hasam gavrla tehuri mani kamachav. He's trying to make something pure. We're going to get up and make a decree, then say that he's a bad guy. Okay. That's the Gemara answers the questions out of Reb Meir. Now the Gemara says, Rami de Rabbi Yehuda b'derabanan. What about the way Rabbi Yehuda said that by anything rabbinic we don't make the decree, and comes out? We're going to show you a case where, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you do make the decree by rabbinic law. Naflu v'nispatzer. The Tanya was started in a brayso, right? Naflu, if these type of special nuts fall into a bunch of nuts. Orla is only batal in, I think, 200. And what happened over here is that because these nuts are so special, they're never batal. Certain things that are so choshev that we say it's never batal even in 1,000. It could be a davar sheba minyan, or it could be it's just because it's choshev. Anyway, davar sheba minyan is things that are sold by nothing instead of by the pound. things that are sold by the item is considered as never bottled. Because it's so significant. Well, let's say it fell into the mix, but then you crush the nuts. When you crush them, then they lose that significance of being sold by number. They lose the significance of being chashuv. They would become batal. So it fell in. Everything is prohibited. And then you crushed it. So echad shegig bechad mezid, whether he crushed it on purpose or whether he crushed it by mistake, lo yalo, it doesn't become batal. Now, according to the Torah, it's batal 1 and 2. It's batal. This is a rabbinic law that something that's chashuv is not batal. Now, Reb Meir says that we make a decree on rabbinic law, which this fits perfectly with Reb Meir, right? I'm sorry. Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda. This is the words of Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda. According to Reb Meir, it fits perfectly. According to Reb Yehuda, it does not fit at all. Reb Yosi, Reb Shimon, I'm Reb Shege Galo, but Mesid Layalo. Reb Yosi and Reb Shimon, two other students of Rabbi Akiva. We have 4 here. We're missing the 5th one, Reb Elazar. They say that there's a difference between intentional and unintentional. What's going on over here? Biblically, 1 and 2 is batal. Rabbanu knew the gazer. It's only a rabbinic decree. But Rabbi Yehuda says, like Reb Meir, that we're going to make a penalty on him, even though it was done unintentionally. Rabbi Yehuda didn't say that before. It says Hasamana time the Rabbi Yehuda mishum dasi la rumei. Over there. Or rather over here, it's really over here. It's saying over there, but he means by this case of the cracking the nuts, it's so easy to say that I wasn't doing it in order to make it batal. I was doing it because I wanted them cracked. So therefore, over there we have to make that decree because it's so easy to get out of to say that it was unintentional. Okay. Rami de Rabbi Yosi de Rabbi Yosi. Now let's ask a question on Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi says that we don't make a decree on the unintentional. We're going to show you a case where he does make the decree. The Tanan, it was started in the Mishnah, planting of arla or of something that was grown, a forbidden mixture in a vineyard. Now both of those, even when they're uprooted, they're prohibited to eat. They become aser. And it got mixed with other plants. You're not allowed to pick those fruits. And if you did pick it, then yala bechad masayim. Then they'll become nullified. They'll become nullified 1 in 200, like we said. As long as you don't have intention to make it nullified when you're picking them. When they're attached, it's not bottled. When they're picked, they fall into this big mixture, then it's going to be bottled. So if it was picked, then that's fine, but you can't intend to pick it and to nullify it. And Rabbi Yosi says, even if you did it on purpose. 1 second. Rabbi Yosi says that if you do it on purpose, it was a problem by cracking the nuts. And over here we're saying it's not a problem when he's picking the fruits. Must be what we're saying is like this, that this is something that people would not normally do intentionally, to plant a forbidden mixture, because of one plant will make his whole vineyard forbidden. So since this is a very not regular case that this should come about, you don't have to make a decree on such a case. There's a chazaka that people would not do this intentionally, and so therefore we're not concerned that we have to make decrees about it. The next Mishnah says, Kayanim that make a karban pigel, have intention that they're going to sprinkle the blood or eat the meat after the allotted time. If they do that on purpose, they have to pay the owner for the damage that they caused to the owner. If someone is working with his friend with things that are pure, and he says, you know, that thing that we were working on, we were I don't know, making some dough or something, I don't know. Nitmu, it's really tummy. Became tummy. Let's say they're doing working together on a sacrifice. I had the wrong intention when I was working on it. Naman, he's believed. He says, remember back then, on that other day, we were doing this thing, it became tummy. Remember back then on the other day, yesterday or something, that carbon, it became piggle. I had the wrong intention, then he's ein eneman. What's the difference if he says the ones that I'm working on now and the ones that I'm working on a while ago? If he wanted to say that it was no good, he can make it no good right now.
I don't understand. How is it coming?
Let's say he becomes tummy
Okay.
and he touched it.
Oh,
He says, by the way,
no, but let's talk about intention. So if he's about like speaking blood,
Yeah.
that,
but if he had the wrong thought, then it would be no good. While he is involved with the sacrifice, he says, by the way, I messed it up. So we trust him because if he wanted to mess it up, he would mess it up right now. If he's just being, vicious.
No, but the way it's worded here is that he's thinking about sprinkling the blood, burning the fat after the appointed time.
Yeah. What he's doing right now, he's slaughtering or sprinkling the blood. And he's thinking about he's going to burn the fats after the appointed time. That's Abaya's answer is since anything that he's able to do right now, we trust him about it. And Rava says that the case where we don't trust him, that's because we actually saw him once. And he didn't say anything. And then afterwards we saw him later and then he tells us. So we think that something's going on. If it was really true, then why didn't he tell me the last time we met each other? Okay. So there was a person that told his friend, the taras that the pure things that I was working with you on such and such a day became tummy. Asal kami de Rabami. Says, let's go to the rabbi to ask. Goes to Rabami. Amalei, the truth is he's not believed. He's not believed. Because it was yesterday. Amal fun of Rabasi. Rasi tells to Rabami, Rabbi Ataimerkin, you say this. Hachi Amar Rabbi Yechanan, Mishum Rabbi Yaisi. My Eseshatere Mante. Rabbi Yechanan says, what should I do? The Torah does believe him. Where did the Torah believe him? I can prove it to you. Kain Gadol on Yom Kippur. Chiyamar Pigel Neheman. If the Kain Gadol says that I messed up on the blood of the sacrifice, I made it pigel, we trust him. How do we know that we trust him? Vaksiv, Pasuk says, no man could be in there. We don't know from anyone else because there's no other person in the Oyel Mayad. And he comes out and he says, I had the wrong intention. Dilmas Shamani the pigel. Maybe we heard him announcing, he even gave a big shout, I'm sprinkling the blood on the wrong time. He shouts that out during one of the activities. Says, Ilav the Meheman, Afakav the Shmani, Lamila Meheman. Dilma Labasar Hachikama. How do we know if no one's in there? How do we know that he made that shout, that declaration that he's messing this up before or during the activity? Maybe he already finished sprinkling the blood and then he said that I'm going to burn the fats after. Maybe it was too late.
How's this case different than the first one? In both cases, it's someone after the fact telling the other person that.
Right. Right. That's exactly
The whole basis
Ross
of
is saying.
pigul is on believing someone.
1 second. I can't hear. Tell me again.
The whole basis of pigul is on believing the person in itself.
Because you have to trust him, right? Because usually, well, I think we had a machlekes in Zvachim. If pigul had to be said or it's only thought. I think it was a machlekes Rashi and Tosfos. If it's only thought, then yeah, that's interesting. The Gemara is coming up with a case where he's saying it anyway, even though, right? But according to the other view, it's totally up to the person. Right? It's only in his mind. Oh, he would have died. No, they didn't make it out if he was a heretic, not if he was just piggled it. Is it a tickle? So, so we say, yeah, fermented it. So Dilma the chazini bepishpish. Maybe we see what he's doing because we're able to look through the small door. Pishpish is that little tiny door inside the bigger door. At the doors to the temple, or like these little doors inside. Maybe I was able to look through the hole and be able to see what part he was up to when they heard him saying, "It says kasha." Okay, that's a question. Someone comes to Rabami, Amalei Sefer Torah shekasafti lepleni. I wrote a Sefer Torah for so and so, and Askara Shalai, the names of Hashem that were in that Sefer Torah, like kasaftim lishman. I didn't write them with the right intention. It's messing up the Torah. Amalei Sefer Torah biad me. He says who was holding the Sefer Torah? Amalei biad lekech. He says the person that purchased it. I already gave it to him. He paid me the money. Amalei nemanat lahafsit scharcha. We trust you. And that he doesn't have to pay you. But the Sefer Torah is still kosher. We don't trust you in that. So he won't pay him for those letters, the names of Hashem. But the whole Sefer Torah, there's a lot of work in there. He should pay him for everything else. He doesn't have to pay him for anything. If the names of Hashem aren't in there, the whole Sefer Torah is worthless. Why can't you just take a pen, write over the names of Hashem with the right intention, and you write it over on top? It says, come on. Who would that go like? Well, name it like Rabbi Yehuda. That would not go like with Rabbi Yehuda, the Tanan, because it was taught in the Mishnah, someone that had to write Hashem's name. And by mistake, I'm not by mistake, 1 second, before the mistake. And he intends to mess it up and to write Yehuda instead of Hashem. But he messed up his mess up, and V'lai hitl by Dallas, and he ends up writing Hashem's name. So he wrote it correctly, even though he intended not to. So what's the halacha? Marvel of kol Rabbi Yehuda says you can take the kolmas, take the quill, and write over it for the sake of Hashem's name, have intention, and it's going to be good. Which is not the way we just said in this case that came in front of Rabbi Ami. Well, the Chacham say that it doesn't. That's not the best way. It probably means that it's not kosher. Well, Gemara says, "I feel Rabbi Yehuda." You could even say it's Rabbi Yehuda. When does Rabbi Yehuda say that you're allowed to take a quill and write over the name of Hashem to make it holy? That's only if it's one time in the whole Sefer Torah. About the coolest Sefer Torah, but if every single name in the Sefer Torah wasn't written correctly, you're going to have to take a pen and go over it. Law, you can't do that. Mishum demesik manumar, it's going to look like a leper. Like there's going to have blotches because one part of it is going to be like more shiny and more sticking out. It's not going to look uniform. Someone that comes to Rebbe Vo, Sefer Torah the Sefer Torah that I wrote for so-and-so, I didn't prepare the leather, the parchment. I didn't do it lishma. You have to tan the parchment. Lishma, Amalei Sefer Torah biad me. Rebbe Vo says, who's holding the Sefer Torah right now? Amalei biad lekech. I sold it to him already. Amalei, he says to me, because the guy doesn't have to pay you, so we also trust you that the Sefer Torah is possible. Gemara asks, hey, Maishna midir Rabami. What's the difference from Rabami, where over there we said that he doesn't have to pay him and the Sefer Torah is kosher? And over here we say he doesn't have to pay him and the Sefer Torah is possible. It says, over there, we trust him that the Sefer Torah we trust him that he doesn't have to get paid, and we consider the Sefer Torah still kosher. Why? Because we think that when he's coming in front of the person and admitting that he's messing up the Sefer Torah, he's not really admitting to such a big deal. He's thinking that he's saying what Rabbi Yirmiyah said. Rabbi Yirmiyah had a question. The guy's saying, okay, I know you're not going to pay me for the names of Hashem, but pay me for the whole Sefer Torah. So he thinks he's going to get, Sefer Torah costs $20,000. He thinks he's going to get $19,000. And he's going to mess up the Sefer Torah, but he's still going to get paid for all the rest of the letters that he wrote. So that's why we don't trust him when he's trying to pass the Sefer Torah, because we don't think that he's coming in as a good person. We don't think that he's doing it. We think that he's just trying to mess up the Sefer Torah, so we don't trust him. However, Hachak, even the Kamafsid Kuli Yagri, over here, he's not going to get paid at all because he's saying the whole parchment is no good. It must be that he's coming in because he wants to come forward. So, Agri, we say that maybe this fellow is probably saying the truth, because here he's really admitting he's going to have a big loss. Okay, I guess we'll leave it here. We'll learn. That's just some Thursday night.
I was just going to ask you that.